Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where two friends get together and talk about the story behind the matches. I'm Matt.
And I'm Michael.
Welcome to episode 46, Great American Bash 1990.
The New Revolution.
How many revolutions?
It's the new one, I don't know.
Just the new one?
Yeah, I mean, am I missing something here?
No.
Okay. It's just
It's just another way of using the word revolution.
Yeah, okay. We're like, it's WCW now, basically. When did NWA finally go away?
It's still the NWA at this point.
But, like, not much longer, right?
Not much longer. I think by the end of 91, it definitely is gone.
Yeah.
While watching the show, did you feel like it was a new revolution? Or did Ole Anderson bring back the old guard?
Oh, yeah. It's an old revolution. I see what you're saying. Yeah, there's first half of this shows kids have kids.
Ole basically just called up all of his buddies and was like, "Hey, I got a job for you."
Did he just get the book?
He got it right before Capital Combat, which was our last week's show. Great American Bash 90 was the 6th annual Great American Bash produced by WCW under the NWA banner. The event took place on July 7th, 1990 at the Baltimore Arena in Baltimore, Maryland.
Hence all the, the American and, like, independence, rah-rah logo stuff. It's like a old-timey, like, paper with, like, a ink pen and stuff. Because it's July 7th. It's, like, right after. It's like the weekend of Independence Day.
Exactly. We have been to, obviously, Baltimore is kind of the home of Great American Bash. I believe this is the third straight one that's been there.
So this is the third one that's been like a pay-per-view, because we watched like the tours.
Yes, the first three were technically
like those big tours or whatever.
Yeah. And the attendance for the show was 14,000
We're
people.
up.
We're on the NWA's.
Like, what was Capital Combat?
Combat.
I mean, it was obviously less, but
I want to say it was like 7,000.
We were doing like some threes.
7,500.
Some threes, some sixes. Like, this is double.
I just say Baltimore is NWA territory.
Yeah, but don't they typically always go to... At this point, they're not really like crossing territories, are they?
I mean, really, they just doing Chicago and Baltimore and Charlotte. I mean, they're basically they're just kind of trading between the three places for their big shows because they know that's where they're going to draw. So, I mean, I guess they went to New Orleans but they announced that show like a week before the show happened, so they didn't get anybody there. But other things that were happening around July 7th, obviously Independence Day.
Yeah.
But step 1, we can have lots of fun. Step 2, there's so much to do. Step 3, it's just you and me. Step 4, I can give you more. Step 5, don't you know the time has arrived?
And what time is that?
Step by Step by New Kids on the Block.
I only know like what's the other big New Kids on the Block song?
Hangin' Tough.
That's the only one I know.
How do you not know Step by Step, man?
I was 3 when this show happened.
Okay, I guess I'll give you that.
But, like, I mean, I know who New Kids on the Block are. I know Hangin' Tough, but I was not like, aware of their explosion onto the scene.
I mean...
I was a big Boyz II Men fan years later.
Big Boyz II Men?
Yeah.
I love Big Boyz II Men, too.
Yeah.
I was more of a Boyz II Men than a New Kids. I know this song just because it was everywhere, because it was the number one song at this point.
Yeah, when radios was still a thing people listened to, so it was like,
radio
couldn't avoid it.
Video didn't kill the radio star by 1990. And the other Die Hard 2 would be released the same weekend.
Watched Die Hard 2 for the first time, like, I think last year.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen the first Die Hard.
Are you just not a Die Hard guy?
I like the first movie a lot, and I've only ever seen parts of the other ones on TV as a kid. But I mean, I never I'm not obviously not a Die Hard
You're
guy.
not a Die Hard guy.
I know that a lot of people think like the third one is just as good as the first one or better, but I've only ever seen parts of it on TV. But I know the second one's like the bastard son of the trilogy. I mean, granted, the like fourth and maybe fifth one.
Yeah, we don't count those.
Yeah, I don't think anybody counts those. I did see the fourth one in the theater and thought it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I saw the fourth one in the theater too.
That's the one with
Justin Long.
Yeah, I remember when
Kevin Smith as the hacker.
Oh God, he rides a motorcycle into a helicopter. I remember that. That's the only thing I remember about the movie, and the hacking stuff. Die Hard 2 is stupid. I enjoyed it.
Die Hard 2 is the least good of the original three.
It's like super hokey,
but it's still fun.
Yeah, totally fun.
And it's technically a Christmas movie as well.
I assume this is true, but I always heard that the Die Hard movies, every script was not written as a Die Hard movie, and they just took it and slapped Die Hard on top of it and changed it around a little bit. At least with like the second and third one. I don't
know about the first two.
I heard that was with all but the first one.
I know the third, fourth, and fifth one all were scripts written for something completely different. Yeah. That they
just slapped Die Hard onto and
basically kind of reworked it to make it a Die Hard.
Which probably isn't that hard. You're just like, oh, we just put Bruce Willis in it.
I mean, have a cop have to save the city, and you can pretty much change it to...
Is Family Matters dad in more than one of them? Is he in the second one?
He is only in the first one.
Oh, that's a bummer. I don't remember from the second one.
Does that mean that TGIF was in the same
universe?
Same universe as Die Hard?
I guess so, because he's only ever played a cop, and I was a big TGIF kid.
I know, because all those shows were connected.
Yeah, I try to think of other movies he played a cop in. Was he a cop in Airheads?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Airheads.
Not big enough to know if Reginald Van Johnson played a cop, though.
I don't know, man. I have a bad memory. But yeah, I ain't farting on no snare drum.
Well, let's find out if this show farted on an
on a snare drum.
On a snare drum. Images of our founding fathers, the Constitution, before an image of the Horsemen, Sting and Flair, all in colonial garb.
It would have been really great if they put like Sting makeup on like George Washington's face.
Actually, that would have been awesome. The logo then flies in with wrestlers as the stars on the flag.
Oh, yeah. That's good. That's a good touch.
Good little touch. And then Jim Ross and Bob Caudle welcome us to the show. And they basically send us right to the first match. Because
it's a quick one.
We got 11 matches in this show. This is the most matches.
They let us know we are going to see the U.S. debut of Van Vader. Big Van Vader.
Big Van Vader. That's right.
That's cool. I was excited for that.
So you can look forward to that one here.
And Junkyard Dog will actually fight.
I wonder if he's going to grab them cakes.
He's going to headbutt some people, that's for sure.
That's definitely true. Let's head off to that first match. We have Nature Boy Buddy Landell. Oh, I tricked you, didn't I? Mm-hmm. Thought it was going to be Ric Flair in the opening show, right?
God, heaven forbid.
Not quite. Versus Flyin, Brian Pillman.
My question is, how many Nature Boys
have there been?
Yeah.
I mean, there's Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. And
Buddy Landell.
And Rick basically took the name from him.
So where'd Buddy Landell
And then Buddy, I think, basically took the gimmick from Rick as well.
And everybody's just fine with that?
But he's never really ever done anything with it because he likes to snort cocaine too much.
Ric Flair doesn't? Or he just was good enough to be able to do it?
What do you mean?
No, you're saying Ric Flair doesn't like to do cocaine?
Oh, I'm sure he does.
But he's Ric fucking Flair, so it's fine.
Hides his problem a little bit better. I
guess. I guess as long as you show up and do the job, I don't think anybody really cares about the drug thing. At least not at this point in time.
So the last time we saw Buddy Landell was at Starrcade 1985.
Oh, and Ole Anderson wasn't booking then.
No,
he is booking now.
He is.
But he was probably doing cocaine with Buddy Landell then.
Actually, Ole, I don't think might not have ever done cocaine.
Okay, but he probably everybody partied. Like nobody.
Ole was pretty straight laced.
Really?
Yeah.
Nobody.
He didn't travel with the Horsemen.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah.
So I just figured that everybody back then at least did some drinking. Like.
I mean, he probably drank, but.
Yeah, but there's a big difference.
Exactly. But Starrcade 85 was episode 6. So that's 40 episodes ago that we saw Buddy Landell.
Are we almost coming up on our year anniversary?
We're almost there. Just like a month and a half away.
And we probably already have 52 episodes anyway. There's some
bonuses.
If you count
our house shows, actually next week's show is our 52nd episode.
Well, I mean, not technically year anniversary.
But it's not our year anniversary.
Those were some extras, guys.
Exactly.
No paywall at Wrestling History X. Yes. I was like, what's the name of our show?
So the match gets started and Landell gets slapped around early to show that he is not intimidated. Chop fest between the two men. Buddy Irish whips Pillman to the corner, but he jumps to the second rope and comes off with a flying crossbody. Flying Brian sends Landell to the corner, hits a hip toss, and multiple drop kicks to send Bobby to the floor. Landell's on the floor yelling, "You want some more of me?" and does some posing. And I literally was like, he's kicking your ass at the moment. Like,
yeah.
What do you mean?
He's Brian Pillman. Look at him. He's got this.
Back in the ring, both men with wrist locks until Buddy sends Pillman to the ropes, who comes back with a sunset flip, but Landell stays up and punches down. Another Irish whip by Buddy. Again, Flyin' Brian jumps to the second rope for a crossbody, but Landell catches him this time to hit a backbreaker. Pillman with chops sends Buddy to the ropes, attempts a drop kick, but Landell holds on to the ropes. Buddy then sends Brian to the ropes, attempts a hip toss, but is blocked, and a reverse attempt is made by Pillman. But Landell with the clothesline takes him to the mat.
It's a nice little combo there.
It really was.
Yeah.
I mean, these two guys, their styles don't really mesh that well.
But they're making it work here.
But they are, yeah. Flying Brian firing back with right hands, mounted punches, goes for an Irish whip, but is reversed by Buddy. Landell then hits a vertical suplex, but again Pillman fires back with right hands, chops, mounted punches, Irish whip to the corner and charges in, but Buddy catches him with a forearm. Flying Brian sent to the ropes, ducks a clothesline, but comes back with a crossbody, but Landell rolls it through for a near fall.
See, I don't know that Brian Pillman could have a bad match with somebody that like can work at this point in time.
I don't think so either.
He's just good. He's the whole package.
Another toss to the ropes by Buddy and goes for a body slam, but Pillman floats over, attempts an O'Connor roll, but again Landell holds onto the ropes, so Flyin' Brian charges in with the clothesline that Buddy ducks, sending Pillman over the ropes to the apron. Brian then climbs up to the top turnbuckle for a high crossbody for the pin and the win. This match, the styles were kind of off, but it was like they got to a certain point and they were just like, we need to end this. And he just like, okay.
Yeah, I think it was a good way to start the show. It's like, oh, it's quick.
It was quick.
Like,
great.
You know, the old guy got some in on him, on Brian, and they've still put the right guy over.
Exactly.
You know, like, and there was enough like high spots to pay attention to. There's plenty of times where we're like, this was not the way to start a show.
Yeah.
It happens too often, and I feel like I really can't complain about this one.
No, you can't complain like too much about.
No, it's like the only thing you could say is like, why is Buddy Landell in there? It's like, well, to put the young guy over.
Exactly.
So that's what they did, and they had some good exchanges in there that looked good and were interesting. It wasn't a trap spot. There was no rest holds really. It kind of just flowed.
It's very
true.
So Gordon Solis then at the stage area. He runs down some of the matches for the evening before we head off to our second match, the Iron Sheik.
Cheeky baby.
Versus Captain Mike Rotunda.
What a shit gimmick to be stuck with.
Seriously. It is very bad.
It's like he's a good-looking young guy. Why are you putting a stupid sailor hat on? Captain of what ship?
For some reason, he went from the varsity club where he wrestled in a wrestling singlet, which made sense for him.
Yeah.
To now he's a...
Plus, JR can put over all his collegiate stuff when he's in the varsity club, which he's probably going to do here anyway. But, he's not going to talk about him captaining a boat.
I hope not.
Maybe he was on the road team.
But the last time we saw Sheiky Baby was at Wrestle War 1989. That was the Music City Showdown. Your favorite logo with the banjo with spikes.
Yeah, that was a great logo. Man, I wonder how much one of those shirts is on eBay if they show up.
And that was episode 30. So...
It's been a minute.
Been a little bit.
Yeah, like...
It's like 4 months.
It feels like it should have been longer to see Shiek again, but... Because we didn't really see a lot of Shiek in the WWF since we started.
He was the tag champs when we first saw him at WrestleMania, but then he kind of just disappeared after that.
Because he had his big time to shine was before that, given, of course.
Before pay-per-view, yeah.
Yeah, giving Hulk the belt, creating Hulkmania.
Exactly.
He didn't break his leg, as the story goes.
So the match starts. Shiek attacks with his flag before the bell, starts choking with his scarf and robe. Shiek with more chokes, slams Rotunda's head on the turnbuckle and clothesline. Captain's toss to the ropes, ducks a clothesline, comes back with a sunset flip for a 2 count, hits a scoop slam and a drop kick to send Shiek to the floor. Once back in the ring, a chop fest breaks out between the two, but an irate gets Shiek back in control. And this is when we get the USA chants starting up.
USA.
Shiek with a gut wrench suplex, locks on an ab stretch, grabbing the ropes for leverage, but the ref sees it. Immediately. Why even do it?
Yeah.
He kicks Sheik's arm off, which allows Rotunda to hit a hip toss, an elbow drop, and goes for a second elbow drop, but Shiek moves in time. Shiek with a belly-to-back suplex, more chokes and chops, but Captain's firing back with right hands to knock Shiek down. European uppercut by Rotunda, but Shiek with an eye poke and attempts a vertical suplex, but Captain blocks and reverses it into one of his own. Rotunda is then tossed to the floor by Shiek, who starts taunting the crowd. And then Captain's back up on the apron, and Shiek brings him back in with a vertical suplex, attempts a double underhook suplex, but Rotunda reverses it into a backslide to get the pin and the win.
And that's a nice combo. Nice little combo.
I always love when the win comes out of nowhere on one of these like black backslides or something.
Yeah, totally.
It keeps the momentum, and when that move happens later, it's not like, oh, well, this is just another move they're doing.
Yeah.
If it happens to win every once in a while, it's a good thing.
Yeah, you gotta keep them on their toes. Make everybody know that, like, yeah,
if it can happen at any point.
I love when somebody makes the win without their finisher.
Exactly.
It has to happen sometimes. Otherwise, it's just you're just waiting for the finish. Like, oh, okay, like it's not over yet. But sometimes it's got to be over.
Gordon Solie is then with Harley Race, and Race is facing Tommy Rich later. Rich is one of the men who beat Race for the NWA World Championship once upon a time.
How long ago, Matthew?
All the way back in 1981.
That's almost a decade ago.
Almost a decade. But that's why they're feuding, because Harley wants revenge on a belt that he lost to him and then won back from him a week later.
All right.
Makes perfect sense.
Cool. Maybe this was the LOD spot. We'll talk on that later, I'm sure.
Harley then makes a prediction that if Flair is not up to the task, Sting will win. And that's something that happens throughout the show is every time someone is interviewed, they make a prediction for the main event.
Sting or Flair, yeah.
It's like, all right, cool. I mean, I guess it's better that they are thinking this is a big deal for our promotion.
Yeah.
Instead of it just being like, oh, here's my storyline. I'm in this little part of the world. What's happening in the main event doesn't affect me at all. I guess. Yeah. I guess I can see both sides to it. But
it's like, oh, make sure that it sucks that you would ever need to sell a heavyweight title match, but this isn't the worst way to do it.
Well, and the thing is, it's a pay-per-view, so like technically
people hopefully you've already been selling it. Yeah.
People have already bought the thing, so. Third match, we got Dirty Dutch Mantel.
Oh, the dirtiest looking man.
Versus the world's strongest man. And no, I don't mean Dino Bravo. And I'll keep making that joke for a year and a half.
I'm sure you will.
Because if they're going to tell us that he's the world's strongest man, I'm going to keep making the joke. Doug Furnas.
I'll allow it. We haven't seen Doug Furnas wrestle.
This will be the first time we see him wrestle.
Like us. Maybe he probably didn't do TV.
Yeah, I'm sure he did some TV stuff.
Maybe, I don't know. It feels like that's kind of weird to put him on TV if you were going to set him up at the last pay-per-view. If he was like actually famous.
You're not going to make his debut on a pay-per-view. And
he's the strongest man in the world.
But the last time we saw Dutch Mantel was part of the Kansas Jayhawks during Starrcade 1986.
Was he that furry then too?
Yes.
I do not remember. I do know I've seen Dutch Mantel loves to sit behind a camera and talk shit, so I've seen him on the internet, and he still looks like
a very hairy person.
Yeah, like a tarred and feathered walrus.
And Starrcade 86 was episode 10. So go back and listen to that episode. It was a fun episode. I think that was one of our favorite Starrcades.
I believe it. So many Starrcades.
There's so many. And JR says that Mantel isn't too concerned about his appearance.
No, but he says that, but it's kind of funny because you can still see the spots on Mantel where he did like shave or trim. Like it's kind of manicured, like on the like sides of his back, I guess. Yeah. But like he is a carpet. I've seen some hairy backs, but my God.
Dutch tries a shoulder tackle to start us off, but he's just knocked down. Furnas is running the ropes, hits a shoulder tackle to send Mantel to the floor. And Cottle says, "You don't know where the hair begins or where it ends." Like you said, a carpet.
Yeah. I have one friend that had a back that hairy or more hairy, and I felt bad for him.
You just live life.
Yeah, you just gotta move on.
I mean,
if you shave it comes back stronger, right?
Exactly. Dutch is running the ropes. Furnas with multiple leapfrogs goes for a third one, but Mantel has stopped to throw punches. But Doug blocks and picks up Dutch for a press slam. Mantel keeps backing Furnas into the corner multiple times, giving a little slap on each occurrence, just kind of pissing Furnas off more and more each time. Doug finally fires back with a slap, mounted punches, and a drop kick to send Dutch to the outside. JR mentions that Furnas will always be the second most famous athlete from Commerce, Oklahoma, right behind the great Mickey Mantle.
Oh, I mean, is he the only other athlete from Commerce, Oklahoma? With a name?
Possibly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know where Commerce, Oklahoma is, and I'm in Oklahoma right now.
I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
But I know Mickey Mantle's from there. Doug's running the ropes, ducks a clothesline, comes back with a crossbody for a near fall, followed by an arm drag into an arm lock. Mantel comes to life with some clubbing forearms, eye rakes, until Furnas picks him up for a body slam and goes up to the top rope, but misses a splash as Dutch moves. Mantel hits a short arm clothesline, goes for a cover, but Doug throws him off. After some wear-down moves, Dutch throws Furnas through the ropes to the outside and follows after to continue the attack with another short arm clothesline.
What's he doing, trying to set up a DDT?
Maybe. Dragging Doug back into the ring before hitting a vertical suplex, Mantel goes for the cover, but is thrown off again halfway across the ring because, he's the world's strongest man.
Well, I just thought Dutch Mantel, that's probably not his real name. Do you think that maybe he just swapped the E and the L to change his last name?
That's the other athlete from Commerce.
Oh, it's Furnas?
Yeah, it's Furnas.
Oh, I totally didn't catch that. My bad. I'm a bad listener. I apologize.
More arm locks by Dutch, but the ref catches him using the trunks in leverage, so he forces Mantel to break the hold. Dutch begins arguing with the ref when Furnas grabs an inside cradle for a near fall. Doug's running the ropes, ducks a clothesline, comes back with the flying shoulder tackle before hitting a power slam, and tosses Mantel to the ropes, but ducks his head, allowing Dutch to kick him. But it doesn't faze him as the two men start brawling. Mantel tosses Furnas to the ropes, ducks his head, and Doug with a wild kick into the gut, but an eye rake leaves him back in control. Dutch goes for an Irish whip, but is reversed to send Mantel to the ropes. Furnas with a leapfrog. When Dutch comes back off the ropes, Doug has moved behind him.
Where did he go?
He's like, what? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Grabs him, hits a snap belly to belly for the pin, and the win.
That was just a little goofy.
The moving out of the way was goofy. The suplex looked good, though.
Oh, yeah. Like, Furnas, I don't know how long he's been training, but he doesn't look bad in there.
I agree.
Yeah, and he does that backflip move off the second rope.
Yeah.
Just to flex on everybody, just to be like, yo, I got some tricks, man.
What was the name of the guy that wrestled Bret Hart in the missing tape thing? You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, but he does that same thing.
I was as I'm watching this
I thought
match,
the same thought.
I was like, that's the guy I was thinking of. I was like,
they were like, this could be the next guy, and they're like, oh no, he was just wrestling Bret Hart. That's the deal.
Yeah.
It's like he was an athletic guy, but he didn't have the wherewithal to be the wrestler that they were hoping he would be. But it looked incredible. I was glad they found that little tape because it's one of those things. It was like, oh, like that'd be neat to see.
Exactly.
We got to see it. It was cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
We'll find his name before this is over, so we can at least say it.
You Google it. I'll keep going. Gordon Solis then with Jim Cornette, and Jim's now talking about the card of the show. And he says, while you're sitting back there in the locker room, I want you to look yourselves in the mirror, and I want you to ask yourselves a question. Are we big enough? Are we bad enough? Are we mean enough? Tough enough? And we got guts enough to get in that ring and take a championship away from the Midnight Express? Very few have succeeded over the years, and those that did knew they were in for the fight of their life.
Bum, bum, bum. This is where the big boys play.
It's probably one of my favorite Cornette promos. And he's talking about the Southern Boys. And it's like, I don't even know who the Southern Boys are.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, when we get to their names, there's one that I'm like, oh yeah, I know that name. And the other one I'm like, I mean, Armstrong. There's probably a lot of Armstrongs.
I was like,
maybe he's
related to one of them. Who knows?
Tom McGee.
Tom fucking McGee.
Yeah, there's like 2 matches I think on like the network. They're probably also on just like YouTube. I can't remember who the other. I think the other match was against Ted DiBiase, and it was like it was maybe at a taping, but it wasn't like it was like basically a dark match, but they taped everything back then.
Yeah.
You know, because they'd throw matches on to see if guys had it. But
if they ran short on time, they could.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But the Bret Hart one's cool too.
Very much so. Our 4th match: Wildfire Tommy Rich versus Harley Race.
So this is the first time where we get like 2 old guys.
Yes, and they're feuding over something from 9 years ago.
Yeah, at least the other one, like they put over the right guy. He's like, okay, I'm gonna have put my old friends on these cards. They all can,
but it helps build up the young
guys, and all these guys. None of these guys have had any like. They all look good in the ring.
Exactly.
Like all 3 of these first matches are good, short little matches. They're not,
I mean, when you look at them, you're like, okay, they were there, but they're actually decent.
They're
matches.
better than a lot of stuff we've seen with current. Like it's better than some matches you'll see at like WrestleMania 5 or whatever.
Exactly.
Or 4.
So
it's better worked.
Last time we saw Harley Race was, speaking of WWF,
yes, sir,
the Royal Rumble 1989, which was episode 25. And I feel like he has the same exact trunks on.
Oh, you mean his King Harley Race trunks?
His King Harley Race trunks, exactly. I loved Jim Ross's line during this match. He was
man, it's funny.
Why is he wearing purple? Is he a fan of the Sacramento Kings?
Because he got the. At least he didn't come out with like the robe. That would have been really messed up. But yeah, it's like he didn't even get different gear. But we love Harley Race. He definitely, considering.
I mean,
the
it's
time
been a
difference,
year and a half
but
he's wrestled in a pay-per-view.
He's looking a little bit like a year and a half of his time off.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So the match gets started. We got Rich with multiple shoulder tackles to get us started, but Race is right back with a clothesline. Misses an elbow drop and Wildfire with the scoop slam. Harley with an Irish whip, but it was reversed by Rich, sending Race shoulder first into the ring post.
Posted!
Tommy continues the attack with a arm lock?
Yeah, he's an arm lock guy, isn't he?
He is very much an arm lock guy. He's the guy that I always complain about because he just
because he does arm lock. So
it's like let's get
if you're gonna do an arm lock, you better be working that arm to the point where they're selling the arm.
Exactly. Harley tosses Rich to the ropes, hits a high knee and a pile driver to send Wildfire to the apron.
Early pile driver.
Race follows out, hits a vertical suplex on the rampway, followed by a knee drop and guillotining Rich across the top rope. Back in the ring, Harley with the headbutt before tossing Tommy back to the outside.
Is this the first show we've had where it has the ramp that goes directly to the ring?
Yeah, so instead of there actually being like an entryway, the ramp was like flush with the apron.
I feel like I see that in some other early, like I guess later than this, but early WCW, I feel like that's a thing they did pretty often.
See, the first time I feel like I ever saw it was like a Ring of Honor show.
Oh, really?
Just a few years ago when I got back into wrestling.
Huh.
And I was like, oh, that's weird. I think it was Impact. It wasn't Ring of Honor. And I was just like, that's weird. Why would they do that? Because it takes away like
I always thought it was
kind of the ring.
I feel like seen it on when I got back into wrestling, but I only just downloaded matches and got together with my buddy and we just watch random ones with guys we liked in it. And there was, I think it was a Vader Cactus Jack match or something like that. That was, WCW match, and I think one of them gets slammed through it. Maybe, but
really?
Yeah, but it was probably a year or so after this, I'd imagine.
Yeah, we might get to it. At some
Yeah.
point.
I don't know what show it was from, but it is a thing that I feel like we will see more of in WCW from here.
Probably.
I don't think I've ever seen it in WWF.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it in WWF. I know AEW does it quite a bit.
Oh, have they?
And Impact, I think Impact is basically gone. That's how they set their...
Yeah, that's just their standard...
How they set their stuff up at this point, so... Rich is pulled back into the ring, starts firing away, hits a clothesline that sends Race over the ropes to the floor, and hits his head on the apron as he went down. Wildfire falls out to hit a scoop slam on the floor, brings him back into the ring with a vertical suplex. And then Rich hits a second rope falling fist for a near fall. Harley's firing back with a knee lift, a belly-to-belly suplex, clothesline, a knee drop, swinging neck breaker, but Tommy starts firing back with right hands and an elbow to the head. Knee lift and a headbutt to the gut by Race leaves Rich staggered. Wildfire picks up Harley near the ropes, which ends up toppling them both over the ropes to the floor, and then begin brawling on the outside.
I low-key kind of think this match is kind of tight. It's so much... They're trying, and I think that for some reason I feel like there's some... I kind of got into this match a little bit, which is weird. I didn't expect I would.
I was the same way.
I think it was the low expectations made the match better because I was like, cool.
What is this?
Yeah, after that early pile driver, and then there's a lot of big moves.
Race then rolls back into the ring while Tommy goes to the top rope, coming off with a crossbody, but Harley uses the momentum to roll over on top for the pin and the win.
Bum, bum, bum.
So is this feud over?
I think this feud's been over for 9 years. We just restarted.
So Gordon Solie is then on the stage area with Me Mark and Paul E. Dangerously.
What, is this the first time we've seen Paul E. in we saw him on an AWA show.
First time we've seen him since Great American Bash 1989, so it's been a year.
Okay.
Which was episode 31. Basically, this is another promo putting over the main event. Mm-hmm. Every promo puts over the main event and then says, we're going to win our match. But,
yeah. What else are they going to say?
But then,
I think we're losing tonight. I don't mind feeling too hot about this one.
But Paulie pulls out a shirt it's like a Lex Luger shirt, and he said, I don't know if it's a t-shirt or toilet paper.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a good line.
Yeah, he's got his full hat gimmick and same Paulie Dangerously. He's
still got his Zach Morris style.
What is the yuppie? What is his nickname?
I don't remember, but it is yuppie something.
Yeah, the Psycho Yuppie, which is a great gimmick. It's hilarious. I just think it's a great name.
It is a great name.
And I was thinking, maybe somebody read American Psycho. It's maybe Paulie's a Bret Easton Ellis fan. I'm pretty sure that book doesn't come out until 91 or 92. And then the movie way later, 99, I think, or 98. Movie. I never finished the book. It got too much for me, and I'm a guy that isn't easily
that's one of those weird ones that you didn't get through, but I fucking love.
I only didn't get through because I had to put it down because I was sweating reading it. I was like, this is disgusting. This is too much. But I know it only gets worse.
It does.
Maybe I'll listen to it. That'd probably be worse.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
But
we're off to our fifth match. The Southern Boys of Steve Armstrong and Tracy Smothers versus the Midnight Express of Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane.
It's do we even have to say anymore? If you don't know Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane by now.
With Jim Cornette for the NWA United States Tag Team Championship.
Yeah, how many different tag belts is there right now?
There's two. The World title.
The World and then the US, that's it, okay.
Same way with the individual belts. There's the World and there's
US. No Intercontinental.
That's in WWF.
Yeah. We'll get it. There's a European. They do a US belt eventually in WWF?
Whenever they buy WCW.
Oh, no?
It's that belt.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Justice for the European title, D'Lo Brown.
So the Southern boys come out in Confederate jackets and have the flag on their trunks. But they're the faces in this?
It was a different time.
All right.
That's an argument that we don't have to have, but not something that I'd be stoked on seeing in 2020 if somebody came out with that on their gear.
We're definitely seeing clearly now.
Yeah, if it was 1990, I bet that Lance Archer would be coming out like that too. Some Texas boy shit.
That's true. So Midnight Express attack the boys before the bell, sending them both to the floor where the brawl continues. But the boys get the advantage, roll Eaton into the ring, hitting a double-team back body drop, a double-team shoulder block, and then knock Lane off the apron as well. Scoop slam by Beautiful Bobby goes up to the top, but Armstrong press slams him to the mat, followed by a monkey flip, left jabs, and a drop kick.
Yes.
Steve then goes to the top rope for a flying clothesline that sends Eaton to the floor. Hot start.
Hot start. Also, probably not Bob, probably JR lets us know that basically the Southern boys have been like tearing through everybody, and like they're up and coming. Like they probably haven't like lost to the team on TV or anything. Like they're hot.
They're hot.
They're on a hot streak.
The boys with double team arm wrenches and chops. Smothers then sends Bobby to the ropes, attempts a power slam, but Eaton just stops and gives a jab to the gut. Beautiful Bobby then goes for a body slam, but Tracy floats over and starts running the ropes, ducking a clothesline and turning to hit a chop and a savate kick. Cornette's yelling that karate isn't legal, and JR says you have to take about 50% of what Corny says with a grain of salt. Smothers reverses an Irish whip, hits a back body drop and another savate kick. Tracy and Sweet Stan match karate styles in the middle of the ring, which was a fun little comedy spot almost, but
kind of. Stan Lane's a savate kick guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
With Lane finally getting the advantage with multiple kicks until Smothers catches his foot and delivers multiple chops and kicks to the Express. Cornette pulls his team together on the outside to have a mid-match meeting because they're getting their asses handed to them.
I love me a mid-match. The mid-match meeting.
Tracy and Stan trading step-toe holds into hammerlocks back in the ring until Lane rakes the eyes, tags in Eaton, who immediately gets arm dragged into an arm lock by Smothers. Bobby with an Irish whip, Tracy leaps over the ropes to the apron, and as Eaton charges in, leaps back over to hit a drop kick.
It was great. It's good.
Beautiful Bobby then rolls out to the floor. Smothers looks to follow out, but stops on the apron, does a 360 back into the ring before using the ropes to help him drop kick Eaton into the guardrail.
This match is pretty bananas, and it's one of those things like the Southern boys. It's like, what happened to this tag team? Why are they not?
Where did this team come from?
Yeah, did they not stick around for long? I imagine they don't, but like, where did these guys go? We know the name Tracy Smothers, but I couldn't give you a breakdown.
As Bobby is out on the floor, Lane comes in to hit Tracy from behind. The Express then hit double team back elbows. Irish whip Smothers to the corner, followed by Lane Irish whipping Eaton to hit a splash, but Tracy moves and rolls under a Sweet Stan clothesline. Armstrong then comes off the top rope with a flying crossbody on both Expressmen. The boys are both going for covers, but only for 2 counts.
What is this match?
The boys then give a double noggin knocker to the Express, but they roll out to regroup. And Cornette's yelling at them that they're going to lose the belts.
It's not looking too good right now.
That's possible because it's a title match. Eaton goes for a body slam, but Smothers floats over, goes for an O'Connor roll, but Bobby with the blind tag to Lane, and Sweet Stan tosses Tracy to the floor. Lane doing damage on the floor, sending Smothers into the guardrail. Cornette nails him with the racket. Tracy finally makes it to the apron, but Sweet Stan shoves him to send Smothers flying into the guardrail again.
I know. So all steeled up.
Lane rolls Tracy in, hits an inverted atomic drop into a Beautiful Bobby backbreaker. A clothesline by Eaton drapes Smothers over the top rope, and Lane leapfrogs Bobby with a crossbody across the back of Tracy. Sweet Stan with some more kicks, a snapmare, but Smothers starts firing back, but Eaton slows him down with a body slam and an Alabama jam.
What's the Alabama Jam?
A top rope leg drop.
Oh, okay. It's the Alabama Jam. Should have known. I'm sorry.
Laying back in, tosses Tracy to the ropes, who comes back with a desperation sunset flip, but only a 2 count. Swinging neckbreaker by Beautiful Bobby throws Smothers to the floor, but then slingshots him back into the ring.
And that slingshot, he's like just pull the rope, yeah, and they fly in. I always love that because it's just, we, as fans of wrestling, you're like, yeah, okay. Like, I understand the logic there, but that one's always like, unless it's a really big guy doing it to a small guy, and even then it's still just like, goofy. But it's funny when the guys are like about the same size.
Yes.
That's all I got. That's like, I just wanted to talk about it.
Sweet Stan with a butterfly suplex. Eaton with the right hand to send him out to the floor once again. And Bobby goes for the slingshot again, but Tracy is able to reverse it to send Eaton to the floor.
Well, I mean, at least they set it up they did it to set up this other fun spot. But it's also extra silly.
Only to climb back into the ring to be met with a clothesline from Lane. Smothers is about to have his head slammed into a turnbuckle, but he blocks and reverses it on Stan. But an eye rake allows the Express to go for a double team back body drop, but Tracy tries for a double sunset flip and makes his way to his corner for the hot tag.
The double sunset. Come on.
Armstrong
So
in with right hands to everybody. Double noggin knocker. Flying shoulder block on Lane. Eaton breaks up the pin, but then Smothers body slams him.
These wild-eyed Southern boys.
Tracy picks up Sweet Stan while Steve goes to the top rope to hit a missile dropkick and goes for the pin, but the ref is admonishing Smothers to get out of the ring, so we only get a 2 count. Armstrong goes to the top again, but Bobby pushes him off, so Eaton climbs to the top rope himself, and the Express hit the rocket launcher for the pin, and no! His shoulder's up.
So that's a way to make a match. Everybody should pop for that. Like, it's like, oh, like, yeah, I did it. I was like, oh, rocket launcher, it's over. And it's like, you can't, sometimes you got to kick out of finishers. Sometimes matches need to finish without finishers. Sometimes you need your backslide.
Cornette and Lane are arguing with the ref, and the boys switch places as Steve rolls to the floor. Beautiful Bobby goes to pick up Smothers, but he reverses it into an inside cradle, but Stan is there at the very last second to break it up.
It's close.
Armstrong back in, nails Lane to send him to the apron, and Eaton tosses Smothers to the ropes, where Sweet Stan hits a kick to the back of the head. Bobby then rolls up Tracy for the pin, and no win.
Southern boys couldn't quite get it.
Couldn't quite get it.
I kind of would have liked to see him get it, but like at least the heels went on some heel shit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like
they didn't win completely clean.
Yeah,
and that's how heels should win.
Yeah, exactly. It's just good, and I want to know what's the deal. What happened? Steve Armstrong get like hit by a car or something?
I have no clue. I'm right there with you. I've heard of Tracy Smothers because I know he does some ECW stuff later in the 90s.
Yeah.
But I have no clue. I think they do change their name to the Young Pistols at one point, but I've never heard of them either, so
there's something untapped here. Like,
who knows what happened with these two guys.
It's wrestling. Like, there's definitely anything could have happened.
Exactly.
As far as I can tell here, it's like, oh, well, I want to see these guys fight everybody. Because we know that NWA WCW is like killing it on the tag teams.
At this point, yes.
They got the greatest tag teams. And I want to see them go against all the tag teams.
Yes.
I want to see a Doom, Steiners,
Doom
Rock and
versus
Roll,
the Steiners
Freebirds.
would be great.
Yeah.
Man.
Anyway, this is one of the ones.
This has been put on the short list for our next best of episode.
Already.
Yeah. It may not be there when we get there,
but
at this point, it's on the short list.
Yeah, it's. Would you say that this match is better than anything on Capital Combat?
Oh, definitely.
I didn't expect you to pull a Capital Combat match off the top of your head, even though you should be able to.
RoboCop showed up
and pulled the rubber doors. I like the rubber door spot.
So much schmoz at the end of the main event between Luger and Flair. Other than that, no.
was it me and Mark had a
Steiner
singles match?
Did Steiner's lose the belts to Doom?
Yeah, that was probably the best thing that happened on that show, because Steiner's Doom.
Well, I don't know if it's the best thing to happen
on that show,
but it was maybe the best match.
I mean, I was down with Steiner's losing it to Doom. That's if they're gonna lose it to somebody, like the bigger bastards. What you got against Doom? Steiners can't have it forever.
Gordon Solis then with the Freebirds, and they're wearing quite a bit more makeup than usual.
Well, little play into the show later.
Yes. Hayes tells us that there's nothing on God's green earth with 4 wheels that they can't drive, and there's nothing with 4 legs that they can't ride.
So I mean, they're gonna come out on horses.
I was like, huh? What has 4 legs that you can't ride? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what's that have to do with the Steiners? I'm like, I know it's a dog reference, but I'm like,
I guess so. But they're said let us know they're gonna ride all night in case
Yeah.
And they came to rock the house.
There's 2 things you can do about it: nothing and like it.
And that's great.
That was a good line.
They should have got to that before the whole riding thing.
Yeah.
They could have just said there's nothing with 4. Also, the 4 wheels. There's no cars in wrestling.
Optimus Prime isn't showing up.
Yeah, LOD rode those motorcycles, bitch, all the way to WWF.
It was on 2 wheels.
Yeah, on 2 wheels. Yeah, good point.
So we're off to our 6th match. We got Z-Man versus Big Van Vadar.
Bum, 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 which is his. For some reason, they want us to know it's his U.S. debut. But I mean, obviously, they've been dealing in Japan. It truly is.
It is truly his U.S. debut
on television. He's had to have worked. No. What do you mean he's not Japanese? He just flew to Japan? Did he go through the dojo?
No, he has been wrestling in New Japan.
Yeah, I know that.
He had never wrestled on a televised.
Yeah, I was like, where did he learn?
At all in America.
And I know of his big, I don't know what you would call it, his crazy mask thing.
Yeah.
Which we're about to see, and is incredible. But I thought that was only something he ever used in Japan. Because anytime I've seen clips of it, it was always in Japan.
I feel like he's probably only going to use it a few times here, and then he'll kind of just not use it anymore.
I guess we can talk right about it now, right?
Kind of. First off, Big Van Vadar is a Wrestling Observer newsletter Hall of Famer, because it's the first time we've seen him. And I want to mention that he actually, making his debut here, he was actually currently the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion at this time.
Oh, why did I just had his name in my head and I forgot it.
He had beaten Chono, I think.
Oh no, I just meant Vader's real name.
Oh,
Leon White.
White.
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't know who we're talking about, go watch Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
Or watch the show, because if you don't know,
I mean,
if you don't know who we're talking about,
we all know who Vader is.
Yeah. But he had just recently had a match that is kind of famous with Stan Hansen, where
I guess Stan Hansen, another guy that's more famous in Japan. than the U.S.
Where his eyeball got poked and it came out of his eye socket
or whatever. Ugh.
And if you go out to YouTube, you can actually look up
Stan Hansen
Hansen
the eye poke of doom.
His eyeball is literally out of his eye socket. He puts it back in.
That's crazy.
Closes his eyelid, and then wrestles the rest of the match.
Probably not for much longer.
Not much longer, because I know the match goes to a no contest.
He doesn't leave the ring.
But no, he keeps working.
My God.
Even with that, the video I saw didn't show the entire match. It just showed the eyeball.
How gross was it?
It was pretty gross. It was pretty gross.
That sounds disgusting.
But he had to have a metal plate put in his
to keep his eyeball from coming
eye
out.
Socket to keep his eyeball.
But he didn't lose vision.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I know when they do work on eyes, sometimes they just take it out of your friggin' head.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Eyeball stuff, gross.
But let's talk about this match.
All right.
As he's coming out, he has this headgear that you were talking about.
Yes.
Has some horns, spiked shoulder pads.
It's kind of like a more badass Road Warrior type of deal, but it's got kind of this weird demon face with almost kind of like a aardvark or elephant type nose thing. I
felt like it was almost a demonic Darth Vader.
Yeah, totally.
Mask. It's basically kind of what it felt like.
It's JR says that it's a ancient samurai headpiece. Okay.
I don't know
It's,
about that.
I mean, I don't know. It's not, but he's like, it's Japanese, so they're like, putting it over. It's definitely not an ancient samurai headpiece.
But he takes it off, sets it on the
By any means.
on the ramp.
Yes.
And then it starts blowing steam.
Yes, like
out of the horns.
It's incredible, and he like basically leans down to like give thanks to it. So that's why I was like, oh, maybe it really is like that's the part of the gimmick is like it's this thing that this otherworldly thing that like helps him, makes him like stronger or like gives him luck or power or something silly like that.
It's very possible.
But it looks so badass that I'm like, sure, why not?
It's a very Japanese type gimmick.
It's cool as hell.
But this match gets started. Z-Man tries to get the advantage early, but Vader just starts pummeling him with right hands.
I will say Vader's not wearing his typical, what we know later, like the mask. Like the mask that's more Mankind style. It's kind of more like a typical like lucha mask with like bigger holes in the eyes and mouth. It's not the segmented, like I said, kind of Mankind, but made out of like a backpack strap one that you're used to. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Vader starts pummeling him with right hands, forearms. He Irish whips Zinc and follows with a splash. Vader with the clothesline to send Z-Man to the apron and picks him up by the ears to bring him back into the ring.
Yeah, like the double like head neck lift.
Yeah.
I never always want to call it a choke slam. It's not a choke slam, but like the double choke lift.
It literally looked like he picked him up by his ears. Zinc is tossed to the ropes, ducks a clothesline, and delivers a drop kick that barely phases Vader. He goes for a crossbody, but Vader catches him and picks him up for a military press. Vader hits a running elbow drop, a vertical suplex, a clothesline, and then the running splash for the pin and the win.
And I mean, it's a squash match.
It is totally a squash match.
But I did like that at least Zinc got a drop kick in. But all it did was make Vader look stronger because he just, absorbed it.
Yeah. But you can tell that the Z-Man and Flying Brian Pillman tag team, who everyone really liked. Pillman got the match against the old dude and won.
Yeah.
And Z-Man is a glorified jobber.
Yeah, exactly. It's like one of those things like, Pillman versus Vader would have been awesome, but Pillman wasn't going over, so let's just feed him the Z-Man.
Yeah. Vader's not going to lose while he's the IWGP champion.
No. Not even though nobody... At this point in time, nobody in that arena knows what the hell that is. Yeah. Unless Meltzer's there. Like, there's probably not too many Japanese wrestling fans.
They definitely do not mention it on the show.
No.
I know because I was watching, I was like, I know he was champion at one point over there, and then I started looking up dates, and I was like, date. He was champion.
Yeah, it's like Muda was probably something over there at some point. I mean, maybe not.
Not until he got back.
Oh, okay.
From his excursion.
Yes.
So then Gordon Solie is with all the Horsemen, and they say a bunch of Horsemen things, basically saying they're going to win, and Flair's going to win. And...
Yeah. Vader's does take the mask back with him, and it does shoot some more smoke, which is pretty cool. And he, kind of barks at the audience. Just putting over the cool Vader mask, because it's cool.
It's really cool.
It's really cool.
So the 7th match, we got the fabulous Freebirds of Michael P.S. Hayes and Jimmy Jam Garvin versus the Steiner brothers of Rick and Scott.
What does the PS stand for?
Pretty sexual?
Is that it?
Or pretty sexy? Something like that.
Oh, okay. Michael, pretty sexy Hayes. I don't like the Jam in Garvin. Just Jimmy Garvin. The Jam, I don't know.
It used to be Jumpin' Jimmy Garvin, which
he's not
made more sense, but
yeah,
who knows?
I don't know. I just didn't really Jam. What does Jam mean?
And as we mentioned earlier, the Freebirds have very glittery everything.
Yeah, well, they're also wearing basically overalls.
Yes,
it's kind of, but they're not as high. They're basically to their waist, and
they're almost
the straps
like waders.
Yeah, it's like suspenders.
Yes,
it's basically matching suspenders, but I think it's all one piece. Anyway, it looks kind of cool, and they got a bunch of makeup on, and
we'll find out.
They're gonna get it.
We'll find out some more about that here in a minute.
Yeah.
So the Freebirds attack early, knocking Rick to the floor.
Oh, Hayes, we don't get chance off the top.
No, it's not off the top. Right. Hayes hitting a side slam, a rubber band slam by Garvin, a double team clothesline all on Scott. Jimmy's going for the DDT, but Scott backbody drops out of it. PS then tries for the DDT, but Steiner just throws him off and rolls out to the floor.
Yep, I love when people avoid the DDT by just like running away. Like they know that it's going to be the end if they don't, and they just basically bounce.
Rick is finally back in to give a Steiner line to both Freebirds, which forces them to the floor to regroup. But Scott hits a double clothesline to take them down. Garvin's taunting the crowd, and the crowd is returning it with a very inappropriate chant, which we won't repeat here because it's 2020, and I was actually shocked
I was
that
too.
It wasn't edited out.
It happens a lot. I mean, it's the F word that we don't say.
Exactly.
That's the easiest way to put it. But the crowd is having a blast, and it's not just a isolated incident.
No, they have quite a few chants.
Yeah.
But hey, Michael, did you know that Rick Steiner wanted to be a kindergarten teacher?
No, but JR told me that both of these educated men were going to be educators at some point. Would you want Scott Steiner? Do you want Scott Steiner teaching your children math?
I don't want Scott Steiner teaching anywhere near my children.
Do you think he does the books at all the Shoney's he owns?
Probably.
Yeah, but yeah, man, JR and his college stuff, which he does his whole career, but
yeah, he's still doing it to this day.
Yeah, the man's obsession with college. Like he did go to OU, right, and graduate.
I have absolutely no clue.
Like if he didn't go to college, I'm gonna lose respect for the man because of how much he knows about everybody's college career.
Should we pause and look this up?
Yeah, I think we should. I don't even think we should pause. We should just do this on air.
Do this on air?
Yeah.
Even though most of it will get edited out.
Probably. Why not?
Jim Ross.
If he didn't go to OU, then I might just be done with Jim Ross. As much as, like, done with Jim Ross at this point in 2020.
He was born in Fort Bragg, California.
Oh.
Attended a high school there. His maternal grandparents owned a general store in Westville, Oklahoma. Okay. And his paternal grandfather owned an off-sale beer store and was a carpenter. He was a president of the student body, a four-year letterman in basketball, and state vice president of the Future Farmers of America whenever he was state speech champion in 1968.
But when did he move to Oklahoma?
He was also an honorable mention on the 1969 high school all-state football team by the Tulsa World as a center. And he grew up cheering for the Oklahoma Sooners. It says he did spend some time in college.
But we don't know where.
But it does not say where.
Boo. Jim Ross was canceled. When did he move to Oklahoma? He was born in California. That's like when I found out that Creedence Clearwater was from San Francisco. And I was like, what? This is garbage. Like, I can't believe this. I feel lied to. I mean, I know Jim Ross lives here now.
Yes, he does.
You saw him win the Wild recently.
That's true, I did.
Also, I think, you think anybody knows that much about other people's schooling? It's just a weird obsession. I get the football parts of it for sure, but it's like, yeah, I think it's just something that he was like, oh, this is something that I can use to pad out matches and stuff. So he just had the information.
Something to talk about. Why not that?
At least he knows the names of the moves. Can't say that about like Vince McMahon or like Tony or something. I mean, more than some guys, more than like Tony Schiavone or Vince McMahon. Come on, he knows. He lariat, pile driver,
clothesline.
He doesn't say lariat.
It's a clothesline.
Suplex.
It's a suplex.
He's not. He's not the worst when it comes to knowing the moves. Not anywhere near the worst.
Rick then reverses an Irish whip before hitting a back body drop on Jimmy and another Steiner line. Dogface scribbling on all fours, backs Hayes into the corner, and then bites his ass.
So funny. And they were calling PS the F word?
Yes.
That was just a thought that I had. I was like, he bit his ass. I mean, I guess it's funny, but,
Scott's running the ropes, leapfrogs and hip tosses Garvin, hip tosses PS, drop kicks Jimmy, drop kicks Hayes to send both Freebirds out of the ring. PS with a cheap shot and begins to chop away on Scott before slamming his head into the turnbuckle. Tosses Steiner to the ropes but ducks his head, allowing Scott to hit a double underhook sit-out powerbomb, a.k.a. the Tiger Driver.
Did they go work in Japan? I know they eventually work in Japan.
They eventually do.
Or they do that, yeah. It's like we hadn't seen anything like that, have we? It's the first Tiger Driver
Tiger Driver we've seen.
It looks incredible, of course.
Garvin into attack goes for an Irish whip that is reversed by Scott, who picks up Jimmy Jam for a tilt-a-whirl slam. Michael is a bitch chant starting now.
Hey, that's not nice. That's me.
You're not a bitch.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I do love that PS is just so great at playing to the crowd and he's like more interested half the time in being called the F word, being called a bitch. Freebirds suck chants that it's like, oh, like
technically,
he's great
if you're
at
a heel,
you should be good at that.
Then he's very good. If you're getting those chants, then
you got to eat him up.
You're technically doing your job.
Oh yeah, no, but I love the extent in which he owns it, because not a lot of other guys own it like that at this point.
Rick's running the ropes, Hayes with the leapfrog, and goes for a second one, but Steiner catches him for a power slam. Garvin then comes flying in from the corner to be given a power slam as well. PS tosses Rick to the ropes, where Garvin gets a knee into his back, and Hayes with a left jab that sends Steiner over to the floor, where Jimmy hits multiple clotheslines and the Freebirds with a double-team vertical suplex. Rolled back into the ring, Hayes hits a body slam and a bulldog for a 2 count on Rick, and Garvin begins to work a front face lock to wear Rick down. JR says the makeup by the Freebirds would be popular in San Francisco.
Jesus.
If you haven't caught on to what the F word is.
Yeah. It's San Francisco.
The dog-faced gremlin escapes, lifts Jimmy up for a body slam, but Garvin reverses into a slam of his own. After some more face lock work by Jimmy Jam, hits a body slam, goes to the top rope, but Rick catches him with a shot to the gut. Steiner then goes to the second rope for a flying bulldog and crawls to his corner for the hot tag. Scott in, hits a power slam, then press slams PS onto Garvin. Stereo Steiner lines on the Freebirds. Frankensteiner!
We love a Frankensteiner.
On Hayes, but Jimmy comes in to hit a DDT on Scott and goes for the cover. But the ref realizes that Garvin is not the legal man. This is the smartest ref in the world.
You know what's crazy? We regularly see, like, on pay-per-view matches or what you would call like a marquee or attraction match, multiple refs. I've never seen a tag match with 2 refs in my life, because then how can you do a tag match? You can't do a tag match with 2 refs. I mean, you could, but then it wouldn't be the tag match like we all know it to be.
It's true.
And it's just, I'm like, why has that never been a thing? Then it'd have to be, but like, I just thought it's like, yeah, why would you need 2 matches? And you get what I'm saying. I mean,
you got to be able to cheat.
Yeah.
Rick then picks PS up for an overhead belly-to-belly suplex, and Scott makes the cover for the pin and the win.
I think it was JR, said something about Harvey Firestone in this match, and I wrote his name down. I just looked it up, and he's the founder of Firestone Tires, so who knows what JR was talking about.
Probably something to do with Michigan, because that's where the Steiners are from.
Oh, gosh, yeah. They're burning rubber.
Sure.
Like Harvey Firestone. I mean, I'm just making it up.
I don't remember what he said.
I don't know. So. I was like, who the hell is Harvey Firestone?
But that's the only connection I can make between the two.
Yeah, why not?
We go straight to our 8th match.
Well, yeah, it was good.
It
was great.
Great
yeah.
match. The 4 Horsemen of the Enforcer, Arn Anderson, Sid Vicious, and Barry Windham versus the Dudes with Attitude of El Gigante, Junkyard Dog, and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
The G is an H. El Gigante. I don't want to be that guy. I just was that guy.
You were that guy.
If JR can do it, you can do it, man.
So last time we saw Sid wrestle was at Clash of the Champions 9 as part of the Skyscrapers. That was episode 35.
Wow. It's been that long since we've seen him?
Yeah.
What has he been doing?
He was hurt.
Oh, okay.
Junkyard Dog since Clash of the Champions 6, which was episode 29. Barry Windham since Chi-Town Rumble.
We saw Junkyard Dog.
We saw these guys.
Yeah.
But they haven't wrestled.
Yeah, I know. Just giving you shit.
Which was episode 27.
Yeah. And
Orndorff since Survivor Series 1987.
Yeah, like 3 years for Orndorff.
Yeah.
Who was like, he's Paul Orndorff.
He was main eventing in like 86, and now we haven't seen him in 3 years. And that was episode 13.
An oldie.
But
probably a goodie? I mean, it was a Survivor Series. We probably had a good time. I'm sure we were great.
He was great when he was main eventing with Hogan at the big event. That was one of the better Hogan matches that we saw.
Yeah, no, I was just mostly throwing shade to Survivor Series.
That's true. We love doing that.
It's so easy.
So Mr. Wonderful is shoved by Vicious, tossed to the ropes, but comes back with a sunset flip. But Sid stays up and picks him up by the throat before slamming him to the mat. Vicious attempts a running leg drop, but Orndorff moves and follows with a drop kick to send Sid to the floor. Hits a hip toss and knee lift on Arn, and then a hip toss and knee lift on Windham. Vicious is back in, so Mr. Wonderful goes for the hip toss on him. Sid blocks, reverses, but then Orndorff blocks and reverses into a backslide pin attempt, but can't quite get him over until JYD comes in to give Vicious a headbutt.
I raise my hands in the air because that's a fun spot.
Double A gets Mr. Wonderful into the Horseman corner, but Orndorff begins fighting them all off. And then all 6 men climb into the ring, but the Horsemen clear it when Gigante
Going hard G.
comes close.
Which is all he really can do.
That's true.
He's really good at standing and being insanely tall. Like, what is his build height?
7'7", I think is.
Which is how much taller than, like, is that like...
Most people?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's over a foot taller than most
Vicious is 6'10".
But how tall is Andre?
I think he was 7'1".
Yeah, Jesus.
So, yeah, this guy...
And what's crazy is this guy looks so much taller because he's really thin. Whereas, like, Andre's, Andre around this time, or even the last handful of years, is not young Andre.
No.
He's a big boy. Did El Gigante have the same, disease?
No, he was
just a fucking giant.
Just a fucking giant, yeah.
Jesus.
Mr. Wonderful drags Anderson out of the Horseman meeting on the floor, but back into the ring for JYD to hit a shot to the gut, a headbutt, some doggy-style headbutts, and then ping-pong punch by the dudes with attitude.
Love a ping-pong punch. Love doggy-style headbutt.
Wyndham's throwing right hands, but the dog is no-selling everything. And we get more doggy-style headbutts,
yes,
sending him into the dude's corner. But Barry runs away when he sees El Gigante.
What did I do? Created a monster.
Barry finally gets some offense on JYD with a DDT, but he no-sells that as well. And Windham attempts a slam, but is blocked and reversed into a vertical suplex by the dog. Orndorff in with fists for all the Horsemen. Double noggin knocker on Windham and Vicious. Clothesline on Double A. Goes for a pile driver, but Barry comes off the top rope with a double axe handle to save Anderson.
Which I thought, I was like, that could just be, a way to drop the pile driver quicker. It's like,
True.
It's like I could see that being like, if there was like a tag team of like dummies and like, they were just kind of like big strong idiots. Like one of them like axe handles the other guy to like attempt in the pile driver. Be like a Bushwhackers type thing if they could work. Yeah. Like it'd be like, that's kind of funny.
Sid with the power slam on Mr. Wonderful picks him up and sets him in the Horseman corner. Barry hits a vertical suplex. Anderson with an elbow to the neck. Orndorff finally hits a forearm on Windham and makes it to the corner for the hot tag.
It's hard to get excited about a hot tag in this match, Matt.
But it's JYD.
I know. It's still hard. I already got my headbutts. I got like 8 headbutts.
The dog's in with right hands, a double noggin knocker to Arn and Barry, but Vicious comes from behind with a forearm across the back.
Boo.
The Horsemen then toss JYD over the top rope to the rampway, and the ref calls for the bell and the DQ.
Was the DQ because they double teamed him? Because it wasn't a count out.
Because they threw him over the top rope.
Dude, but do they say that in the commentary?
Yes, they do.
But there's so many times where I'm so tired of this top rope. I take notes on the top rope and then I forget about it. Because like sometimes they're like, oh, the ref must have not seen the top rope. We're like, oh, the top rope doesn't count in this match. Who's so hard up about the top rope?
It's just another way for them to finish a match.
I know, but like...
to garner heat.
I know. But it's just the weakest way because it's like such a thing you don't think about. And then when it's happens, yeah, because they forget. It doesn't happen all the time. Like people go over the top rope all the time. But like it says, it rarely is that the reason.
It's only the second time in our 46
really?
episodes.
I figured it was like maybe it happened on a bunch of early shows, but in those shows the commentary was useless, and the matches always ended, and we had most of those shows we were trying to figure out the finish between me and you. Like, wait, what happened? Why did the ring?
What's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
It's good to be 40 episodes
we've come a long way for sure, but this is still hard for me to stand by.
Post-match, El Gigante begins clearing house, throwing all the horsemen to the floor.
Push, or does he just walk in and they walk out?
Yeah, basically.
Does he touch any of them?
I think he maybe shoved them.
Yeah, sure.
Gordon Solis then on the stage area with Lex Luger, and again another promo of "I'm gonna win." And
yeah, I will say like my favorite thing about that last match is Arn Anderson selling. He does those like big cartoon eyes, whipped into the buckle and falls or whatever. Did some fun face acting.
That was probably the best thing about that match. Yes.
Yeah, that's not like it.
And we're on to our 9th match. We got Mean Mark with Paul E. Dangerously versus Lex Luger.
Yeah, they dropped the callus.
They dropped it. I think only the first match did he have callus. But
it's like, what, a third time we've seen?
Yeah. Versus Lex Luger for the NWA United States Championship.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, good old Mean Mark. Moving on up.
So the two men are back and forth with arm wrenches, hammerlocks, until Mark catches him with some punches. Mean Mark with an Irish whip charges in, but Lex moves, so Mark hits his head on the turnbuckle. Luger's running the ropes, ducks multiple clotheslines, hits a crossbody and an arm drag into an arm lock. Paulie makes a phone call to Maury Povich.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Even JR doesn't know who he's talking to. So how are we?
Yeah, I do like that JR makes fun of Paulie's hair. And I thought it was really funny since Paulie still has yet to give up the dream on the hair front. He's still like
That's why he wears the hat, man.
But like, man, if he's making fun of it then, like now it looks like the man is like sickly. He just should have shaved his head a long time ago, or get a toupee or something. Some plugs.
Be bald and proud, man.
Yeah. Bald and proud. Well, how much money do you think Paul Heyman has?
More than I know.
But yeah, well, more than me, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Lex is tossed to the ropes. Mean Mark with the leapfrog. Luger ducks a clothesline but gets a right hand and a big boot. Mark continues the attack with thrusts, chokes, punches to the shoulder, a Fujiwara armbar.
Yeah.
Goes to the top rope to hit old school. Lex
does he walk or he gets like a step, right? Step in, 2 steps?
Yeah, he goes halfway across the ropes.
It's cool. It's one of those things that
you don't.
Some people do it and it's cool, and sometimes people do it and it's not that cool. It's like if you only do it for a couple steps, it's neat if the guy is big. But if you're like walking all the way around the ring,
I don't like it when old school. I can handle.
Yeah.
You walk from turnbuckle to turnbuckle, it's too much.
Yeah.
Talking to you, Lance Archer.
We love Lance Archer though.
Other than that move,
I have more of an issue with Phantasmo. At least when he does it, he's a heel, and I don't know what Lance Archer is, if he's a heel or not. He kind of is. Both. He's kind of a tweener.
I mean, everybody dies. I guess that's technically a heel thing to say.
Yeah, but he's so cool. He got cool. It's pretty amazing that like somebody could have that kind of like year at the age of like 44 or something. Yeah. When like back in this point in time, some of these guys are like 44 and they are the old guy. Yeah.
Lex begins to fight back with right hands, goes for a clothesline, but Mean Mark ducks, sending Luger flying over the ropes to the floor.
Wait, he flew over the ropes to the floor.
They didn't want that to be the finish.
No shit.
Lex
I don't want it to be the finish either, but I guess at least the other match finally fucking ended, but Jesus. There's probably one of those things they're like, they probably have that just when like nobody will do the job. And they're like, okay, we'll just do the thing.
Exactly.
It's fucking stupid. They could have did a count out. But I guess then if you count out, somebody has to like be real hurt. And how you because they're not going to get up.
Lex climbs back to the apron. Mark hits a knee, sending back to the floor, and then follows out to continue by slamming Luger's head into the wooden stairs and the announce table.
I know, it's kind of nasty.
Back to the apron, Mean Mark hits a headbutt, drags Lex back in, and tosses him to the ropes. But Luger hits a sunset flip on his way back for a 2 count. Lex is Irish whip to the corner, but moves out of the way of a charging Mark, and the two men start trading blows. Luger reverses an Irish whip, but ducks his head, allowing Mean Mark to hit a forearm across the back. Mark hits a vertical suplex, but Lex no-sells it, hits multiple clotheslines, and picks him up into the torture rack, but the ref is knocked out by the boot of Mean Mark. So Paul E. jumps in the ring and hits Luger with a Zach Morris-style phone, goes to wake up the ref, and Mark makes the cover, and the ref starts the count for the pin, but Lex gets his shoulder up.
He's got him pinned for a little while, too, right?
Yeah. Mean Mark with punches, a short arm clothesline, goes for the heart punch, but Lex kicks him away. That nails Paul E., who had jumped up on the apron. Hits a clothesline on Mark for the pin and the win.
The hard punch.
Heart.
I know, the hard... It's still stupid, the hard punch.
Gordon Solis spent a few moments with Sting earlier in the day. We see that video package, and basically the same thing as everything else.
Sting thinks that he's going to win, right?
He does think he's going to win, yes.
Uh-huh.
But he does put over Flair as a great champion.
He does.
And that he's a 100%.
Yes, his knee is back. And he says if he loses, there's no excuse. Same for Ric Flair. Something along the lines.
Fighting champion here.
Yeah.
So we're off to our 10th match. We got the Rock and Roll Express of Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson.
Oh, yes.
Versus Doom of Ron Simmons and Butch Reed with Teddy Long for the NWA World Tag Team Championship. So, Michael.
Yeah?
Did you know that Doom used to play football?
Did you know that Ron Simmons is Burt Reynolds' favorite athlete, wrestler, football player?
All of the above?
Drinking buddy? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that was I think that's from the last show, but still.
No, he said it on this show,
too.
too.
Okay. Yeah, I believe you. All right. I'm sure that he will every time Ron Simmons enters the ring for quite a while. Maybe he even does when he's an acolyte, an APA.
Maybe that's what got Ron Simmons to start saying, "Damn,
damn, JR, give it up. I haven't talked to Burt in a decade."
Simmons gives Gibson the opportunity to just leave the ring, but the Express turn him down. And that starts off Robert running the ropes. He ducks a clothesline, turns to give right hands, and goes for an Irish whip of his own. But Ron reverses and charges in. But Gibson moves this time and attempts an inside cradle for a near fall. Reed, with a big clubbing forearms across the shoulders of Robert, tosses him to the ropes and goes for a body slam. But Gibson floats over, hitting a scoop slam and an elbow to the head. Now Butch is running the ropes and hits multiple shoulder tackles on Morton. Ricky makes the blind tag as he's tossed to the ropes, the Express with a double-team shoulder tackle on Reed to send him to the floor, and then hit a double-team vertical suplex on Simmons. They then slingshot Butch back into the ring, but then Reed just throws Gibson to the mat and begins to give jumping boots to him. Doom with the double back elbow, Ron with the body slam, leg drop, slams Robert's head into Butch's boot. Gibson's thrown to the floor by Simmons as the ref is admonishing Morton to get out of the ring. Roberts makes his way back to the apron, but comes back into the ring with a sunset flip that gets Reed over for a near fall. Butch tosses Gibson to the ropes, ducks his head, allowing Robert to hit a knee lift and make it to the corner for a tag. Morton's in with a sleeper on Butch, sees Simmons coming in, so he hits him with the right hand, goes for an Irish whip that is reversed by Reed, and then Butch tries for a body slam, but Ricky floats over and attempts an O'Connor roll, but Ron hits a clothesline to the back of the head to knock him down.
The float over. It's the key for the smaller tag team against the real big tag team.
And they're also going for multiple, they're trying to do multiple pins to try and end the match because they know that the longer they go, the power
these guys are like, shit, they're way bigger than them. Like, Doom is huge. They're also, JR early on lets us know this is the first black tag team with the world title.
That's true.
Also, there's a pretty incredible busted heads, like Doom t-shirt in the crowd, and I was like, damn, that's cool.
Doom starts dominating with elbow drops, rabbit punches, quick tags, Irish whips to the corner, but Simmons charges into a boot. Morton's firing back with right hands, Irish whips Reed to the corner, where he charges into a knee by Butch. Reed on the second rope to hit an elbow drop, and then locks on a chin lock to wear Ricky down even more. Morton reverses into a backslide pin attempt, but can't get him over until Gibson runs in with a right hand to Butch, and the ref is distracted by getting Simmons out of the ring, so we only get a 2 count.
That's the fun stuff. I love assisted roll-ups, assisted sunsets, and then, like, that was the nice, clean, crispy fun that you want in a tag match.
Reed hits a knee, Ron with a body slam, catapults Morton into the bottom rope, and goes for the cover, but Ricky gets his foot on the ropes. Simmons then tries for a vertical suplex, but Morton reverses into an inside cradle for a near fall. Ron with a standing power slam, Reed with a second rope double axe handle, falling fist, reapplies the chin lock, and Simmons and Long grab Butch's boot to help apply some leverage. But Gibson comes in to break up the hold. While the ref is getting Robert back to his corner, Butch tosses Ricky to the floor, where Teddy Long and Ron continue the attack before rolling him back in. Reed then tosses Morton to the ropes but ducks his head, allowing an elbow to the neck. Simmons comes in with a body slam, tosses Ricky to the ropes, and ducks his head as well, allowing himself to be kicked. Butch then with a power slam goes for a running splash, but Morton gets his knees up and crawls to the corner for the hot tag. Gibson in with right hands, shot to the gut, face plant on Simmons, a right hand to Reed on the apron, drop kick to Ron, another right hand to Butch to knock him down, but Simmons comes from behind to hit him and tosses Robert to the ropes, but Gibson slides under him for a sunrise pin attempt, but Reed breaks up the pin.
What's the sunrise pin?
The sunset's over.
Oh, yeah, it's the one, yeah, I gotcha.
I don't know, I just came up with this.
That's cool, I like it. That's why I was curious. I was like, I haven't heard this before.
Morton's back in the fight as all 4 men are in the ring brawling. Even Teddy Long is on the apron. Gibson hits an enziguri on Butch, who goes straight into Teddy, knocking him into the ring. Robert then picks Teddy up and throws a roundhouse right while Reed climbs to the top rope, coming off with a flying shoulder tackle for the pin and the win.
So, like, yeah, weird, kind of a weird finish.
Yes.
But kind of cool. It's like, it's kind of weird. Like, who's the...
Gibson's distracted by Teddy being in the ring, which allows...
Yeah, but it's just
rope.
like, but he threw him in but his tag partner threw Teddy in the ring.
No, right? Teddy got knocked into the ring.
Oh, from the...
When Butch got hit with an enziguri.
Oh, okay.
Like it hit him, and he kind of teeter-tottered into the ropes and into the ring. It was a weird way to get him into the ring, I agree.
Mm-hmm. I had a weird thing with this match because I think that JR said something about like 10 minutes left in the match, and normally they don't tell you unless something happens.
They haven't told us this.
So I was like, weird. Like, is this gonna go to time? This is a weird match to go to time.
Yeah, it would. It would have been.
I mean, I could see like a Steiner's Doom rematch going to time, but this doesn't need to do that. Like, I assume Doom was, keeping the titles. I was hoping Doom was gonna keep the titles.
So Gordon Solis with Ric Flair earlier in the day in a video package.
And this is kind of neat because like it's in the ring but in the empty venue.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh, that's a cool like change of pace. It's like some production value for like a WCW or NWA show. Like, you get the production value we're getting in WWF at this point in time is pretty incredible. Pre-tape interviews and stuff like that, and there's not a whole lot of this here, or like pre-tape interviews used as if they are live and like melding with the live show like pretty well.
Very much so.
Yeah, and like here, like this is kind of like
actually are just doing live promos.
Yeah, and
that's why you get kind of shitty promos.
Yeah, and they're not in the back like in a brightly colored like set or whatever.
Yeah,
and yeah, it was like, oh, well, here's a fun thing they did. They did something that's kind of fun, and
I don't know if you know this, but Ric Flair predicted he was going to win the match.
I mean, if you're not betting on yourself,
who are you betting on?
Yeah, then you're cheating. Then you're taking falls.
And then JR and Bob Caudle preview the main event. They let us know that the Dudes with Attitude will be around ringside to keep the Horsemen from interfering.
And Dudes with Attitude, terrible name.
Well, that's probably why they got rid of the Dynamic Dudes. They were like, we need to keep this dude's name.
Yeah.
It's the cool thing in the 90s.
To be a dude.
To be a dude.
The Junkyard Dude. That's the... If he lived...
He should have come back as the Junkyard Dude instead of the Junkyard Dog.
Like, he comes out... Junkyard Dog comes out with a surfboard. He's like, I don't know, bowling balls. Yeah. He's got like a bleach blonde, like, mohawk job.
Hawaiian shirt.
Uh-huh.
And then Ole Anderson will be handcuffed to El Gigante.
I do like Ole Anderson's kind of like silly, like, I don't know, like Polish crime boss look, where he's
wearing dress pants with suspenders
and like a black shirt.
And
it's like yeah, he kind of like, people put on like half of the dress up thing, but he doesn't look like a mob boss or anything like that. So it's like, oh, I guess like a Polish gangster, because like I don't know if there is a Polish gangster, but he doesn't look slick enough or like, you know, or like mean enough to be like a like Russian or Italian mobster. It's like, oh, I guess he's a Polish mobster. He's halfway there. I can say that I'm Polish, I think, at least mostly half, maybe quarter. I don't know. I'm definitely white.
And it's time for our 11th match, our main event.
Yes, sir.
Sting versus Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
I never know if you're going to say championship or title. It's a title in WWF, right? Here it's championship.
No, I always say
championship. You should. It's good. It sounds better.
It does sound better. So Sting gets some falling pyro at the stage.
Yeah, it's really cool because it's like all the way across, like all raining and like falling off. The sparks jumping off the floor.
He's wearing an American flag jacket.
Oh, we've all seen this before.
His face is painted like American with stars over the eyes. Looks pretty cool.
Like, yeah, this is an iconic Sting look. Is this like one of the more iconic, maybe the most iconic Sting look that's not like Crow Sting? Like, I imagine that like this is probably the coolest Sting action figure.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it looks pretty great. He's looking very nice.
Ole's yelling at everybody on the stage when El Gigante comes out to get handcuffed. As soon as the giant pulls on the chain, Anderson just shuts his mouth and looks scared. Gigante walks him back to a pair of chairs that is halfway down the ramp.
It's really funny because like there's 3 folding chairs and Gigante sits in like the middle one, but he's huge, so like Ole Anderson's like hanging off like one ass cheek on.
One ass cheek on. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just weird that they're like, okay, well, not a cage match. So
cage match didn't really seem to work for.
Well, that's why Ole's in the handcuffs.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
And then like of course we know that Flair is always going to do his Flair stuff. So like, but what's a lumberjack match? It's just guys around the ring, but they hit you when you fall out.
Yeah, if you go out of the ring, then the
instead, these guys just
can do stuff to you basically.
Yeah, and here they would roll you back in or whatever.
So the match gets going. The 2 men keep locking up, but Sting continues to overpower Flair. Nature Boy starts chopping away, but the Stinger no-sells it all. An Irish whip snatch before picking him up for a military press.
Early press.
Flair tries to roll out, but the Steiners are there to keep him in the ring. It's like the one time in this entire match that the people on the outside were kind of like, you should probably stay in the ring.
Yeah. There's a pretty good, like, kid with a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt on his dad's shoulders at the beginning of this show. It's a pretty cute little sighting.
Sting hits a hip toss, a drop kick. Natch rolls out to the ramp, but the Stinger follows and hits a hip toss and a clothesline to send the Nature Boy back into the ring. Flair with an eye poke, a snapmare, running knee drop to gain control, hits a stalling vertical suplex, but Sting no-sells it, hits multiple clotheslines, and goes to the top rope.
There's something about a stalling suplex.
Stalling suplexes are so good.
It has to hurt more. It just has to.
Comes off that top rope with a crossbody for a near fall. Natch starts going after the knee of Sting, Irish whip, but the Stinger comes back with a clothesline and attempts a jumping elbow drop, but the Nature Boy moves and looks to lock on the figure 4, but Sting kicks him off.
It's too early.
Yeah, you got to work on that knee some more, bro.
Yeah, man. I mean, I get it. It's Sting. You want to get it early, but
test of strength the Stinger gets the best of, But the dirtiest player in the game, with a cheap shot, tosses Sting out to the ramp, where the attack continues before tossing him back into the ring. More work on the knee, chops, until the Sting starts firing back with a hip toss, and goes for a drop kick, but Flair moves out of the way. Nature Boy drapes the leg across the ropes, delivering his full weight across the knee.
Those Nature Boy, we all know the Nature Boy spots. Yeah. The leg drape spot, just like the Nature Boy, like big running like knees onto the mat. I do love that these dynamic dudes on the outside prove
they're not dynamic. They have attitude.
The dudes with attitudes. They prove how stupid the Lex thing was. It's like, this is working better. And then, like, I did that Lex Cage match. I'm still so upset about the Lex Cage match. I'm just like, ugh.
Pretty bad. The dudes start pounding the mat to get the crowd into it.
Because this is basically a cage match without being a cage match. Invisible cage match is kind of what it's trying to be. Because we're like, well, we can't do that. Because we already did this other thing.
We did it just last month. We
can't
do it again. Natch drapes the leg again, but this time Sting moves his leg, but Flair comes right back with a snapmare. Goes for the running knee drop, but the Stinger moves again and then locks on the figure 4 himself, but the Nature Boy makes it to the ropes to break the hold.
Did you pop for the Sting figure 4?
I did.
I did too.
Flair rolls to the outside, drags Sting out as well, and runs him into the guardrail, but the Stinger no-sells. You would think this is where
the dudes
would
Yeah, I know.
help, but the Steiners just kind of like move out of the way.
Yeah, they like break them up and roll them both back in.
Back in the ring, it's Fist City by Sting, but Natch with a kick to the gut to catch Stinger. Goes to the top rope, but Stinger with a press slam to take him to the mat. After another shot to the gut, tosses Sting to the ropes and goes for a hip toss, but the Stinger blocks and reverses into a backslide for a 2 count. Sting thought the count was slow, which opens an opportunity for Flair to regain advantage with a kick to the leg.
We all know, arguing with a ref, never going to work.
Natch just continues to focus on that leg and attempts the figure 4 again, but again is kicked off. Nature Boy with a slap to the face, more chops, but Sting starts no-selling. Tosses Flair to the ropes, lifts him up into another military press, hits a clothesline, mounted punches in the corner, Irish whip for a Flair flip to the apron, but the Stinger catches him with a clothesline before he can make it to the next corner.
I love this spot because we know what's going to happen. Flair does the Flair flip over the turnbuckle, runs to the corner,
jumps up, comes off with a crossbody.
Yeah, but he runs to the corner and Sting is like, "Oh,
I know that move.
We went 45 minutes before I got hurt."
That's right.
Like, come on. It's like, I know what's up, and he sees it happen and just runs and clotheslines him while he runs across the apron. Great. It's good.
Vertical suplex to bring Flair back into the ring, an Irish whip, a Stinger splash, and locks on the Scorpion Deathlock.
Scorpion Deathlock.
The Horsemen come running down the rampway, but the dudes meet them to keep them from the ring. Back in the ring, Flair's making it to the ropes to break the Scorpion Deathlock. Nature Boy with a shoulder block from the apron leaps in to make the cover with his feet on the ropes, but Scott Steiner comes running by on the outside to yank Flair off of Sting.
It's good.
The Stinger
Did we see that in a match earlier tonight?
See what?
A tag team match where they also did the pull the leg?
No.
All right.
The Stinger with a small package for a 2 count. Natch with a side headlock takedown that is reversed into a head scissors. That's reversed into a jackknife pin, but Sting bridges out, reversing into a backslide pin for a near fall.
Hot shit.
Chops, but Stinger no-sells. Irish whips Flair to the corner. Follows in with a knee, but the Nature Boy moves. Natch goes for the figure 4, but Sting with the inside cradle for the pin. And the win? And new! Post-match, the dudes pick Sting up on their shoulders.
Everybody is pumped.
Everybody's celebrating in the ring. Sting makes his way up the rampway to the stage.
Oh, yeah.
When a sign comes down that has the Stinger's face on it with pyro going off on it.
It's crazy. It's like, it almost feels like it would be a thing, like if they were going to create like a new character, and this is like how the Undertaker shows up at the end where like Sting's face comes down and it's an awesome thing, but then it like catches fire. but it's just like, obviously that's not what happens, but I had that thought because like it's the pyros going off on it or whatever.
And Sting even sees it and he's like, Oh,
yeah, cool.
Oh, cool.
I guess I am as cool as everyone thinks I am. Really caught me off guard. I was like, oh shit, like this crazy. That's some big money. But I mean, hey, this is the first new champion in forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the first NWA World Heavyweight title change that we have seen that hasn't been Flair winning. Flair won it from Race.
Yeah.
And Flair won it from Garvin. But we never saw the Garvin win. And we never saw
Flair take it back.
And we never saw Race's win.
Yeah, from before that. But like did we see Flair get it back from Garvin?
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, I know that he lost it off of TV at some point, but that was basically probably just to sell tickets for a pay-per-view to get it off. It's like, oh well, we're not going to show him lose on TV.
Exactly.
So,
So Gordon Solie catches up with Sting on the stage, and once again Sting puts over Flair as the greatest champion of all time.
Yeah, totally. And
he says, I got big shoes to fill, but I'm going to do the best that I can do. And that's all we ask of you, Stinger.
Yeah.
And then JR and Bob recap the evening and say their goodbyes before the credits roll. So Michael Temple, what are your overall thoughts of Great American Bash 1990?
It was a really good show. Before we did this, we were, pre-pro. I was looking at it and I was like, looking at the first few matches and I was like, was this a good show? Like kind of going over my head, and I was looking, because we have the old guy party at the beginning.
Yes.
And I was like, was this a good show? And then as we were talking through the matches, 20, 30 minutes ago, an hour ago, I don't know how time works. But I was like, oh, I did like all of these matches. Like the old guy matches, I liked all the old guy matches because they put over the young guy, and the old guys, they all worked. And like the one that was maybe like the least technical was kind of the hottest, where I was like, how is this Race Wildfire match like going on? Like I think it's because obviously they did have that feud from 10 years ago, but for some reason they like still had some innate chemistry, I feel like.
I think
which was weird.
I think we're right on the same lines here with our thoughts, because I did the same thing. When I looked at the card, I was like, oh wow, this is gonna be.
I try not to look at the card before I watch the shows, because a lot of the times I'm like, if I look at the card, I'm probably gonna see who the winner is. I typically don't want to. Like, there's some stuff, like, I know what was going to happen at the end of the show. I didn't know how it was going to happen. But I just know that because,
But here's the thing. All the matches got the right amount of time.
That's true. That's
the thing.
The NWA, WCW, at this point in time, there's plenty of times where it overstays its welcome. Like, there was a show recently that I really liked, and I was like, all these matches were great, and they were constantly doing stuff, and I think that it was really good, and your thing was like, it would be good if all the matches were shorter. And I was like, I see where you're coming from, but I don't feel like that they were long because of all the reasons that make matches long. Because of holds, because of just like
let's talk about the Harley Race Tommy Rich match. If that match is 4 minutes longer, 3 minutes of that is probably in a rest hold.
Yes, exactly.
And that takes away from that match completely.
Yeah.
So
unless it's a submission match or the guy is a submission guy, you shouldn't do that. And if it's a submission guy, then he should have submissions that work certain parts that work the part of the body that are for his big submission move. But nobody's doing like.
But on the lines of that, all the matches got the right amount of time. I feel we had two best of contenders on this show in the Southern Boys, Midnight Express match, and then Flair and Sting. Mm-hmm. So you get all of that.
All three tag matches were great.
I mean, they were great. But
that's the best one. For sure.
The best one, definitely.
But I'm just saying, all three tag matches are great.
But you add all that together. This match or this show was very, very good.
And it's one of those things like this show is also good for like at the time, people that have been following wrestling for a longer time, because you have your Iron Sheik and your Harley Race and your buddy Landell, and they're against these young guys, and they put the young guys over, but like it's still, it might not maybe, I don't know if those guys, obviously those guys aren't like drawing, but maybe they're drawing for the older wrestling fan.
I mean, JYD basically just came off of, he was in the Clash of Champions that was before this show. JYD and Flair were fighting for the belt. So, I mean, they put JYD in the main event.
Well, yeah, JYD was huge shit before he went to WWF.
And then he was shit in WWF.
Yeah, basically before we started watching, he was a big draw. But, like, you know, he was like the biggest draw, basically, in the territory that we live in right now. Exactly. He was, what's the guy's name?
Bill Watts.
Well, yeah, he was a Bill Watts guy.
Exactly.
Which I would love to see some of that stuff, but I'm sure that it's probably pretty non-existent and probably not very good, but it'd be fun.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? All right, fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. So, best moments of the evening. The rope-assisted drop kick on the Southern Boys.
That whole match. The Tiger Driver.
The Tiger. We don't usually text too often.
No, about
talking
the shows.
These shows.
No.
But fucking Scott Steiner hits a Tiger Driver, and I went to my phone straight away and was like,
Tiger Driver.
Tiger Driver.
Yeah. He just said Tiger Driver, and I was like, oh shit.
I knew it'd pump you up.
Yeah. Like I said, all three tag matches were great because like we had the two big teams, like the big boys. Like LOD's not here, but we have two teams of big guys that can both work.
Yeah.
Better than LOD can, better than Road Warriors. And they had their huge blow-off match that was fantastic at the last show. Here, they both go against smaller, great teams, and they are both worked incredibly well. Like, they're both the same kind of match, but they definitely have a different feel. But it's still the same dynamic. And, like, you know, like we said, the most important thing is they don't go too long. But the Southern Boys, Wild-Eyed Southern Boys, what's the deal with the Wild-Eyed Southern Boys?
I don't know, but it was so good. I agree with you on the all the tag matches. Vader showing up.
Yeah, Vader. That was like the only like kind of not inconsequential because it was a squash match to put over Vader, but
it's still Vader showing up.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And getting to see him. We've mentioned a couple. The first four matches, like when you look at them, you're like, oh, those matches probably don't matter a whole lot, and they don't really.
No.
But it's literally 25 minutes of your life that you're gonna probably enjoy for the
honestly
most part.
Yeah, I found it really enjoyable. Yeah, it's like 2 10 minutes and like a 2 6 minutes match or something like that. Oh, did you know there was a dark match on the show?
There was a dark match on the show.
Okay,
but they didn't show it, so
I don't know who these guys are. I was just curious. I was just looking up because you know my notes are long, so I can get them. You know, better look at the matches here, and I saw the dark match, and I don't know who either of those guys are.
How about disappointing moments of this show? The 6-man tag?
Yeah, 6-man tag sucked fucking on ice.
My pronunciation of El Gigante.
It doesn't even matter. I'm not even that mad about it. Bit over. Match was butt. It was the only thing here that's like, all those guys probably need to be on the show. But
I mean, you got to have the Horsemen, and the Horsemen are feuding with the dudes because that's
they got to fill out their 3-hour pay-per-view, and that was 10 minutes to do it.
It just would have been nice if. I mean, that's definitely the worst match on the show.
Yeah, Lex Luger.
Because JYD doesn't sell for anybody.
No, he doesn't.
I mean, Vicious isn't a good wrestler. El Gigante is
not a wrestler.
So Paul Orndorff ends up having to work that match.
Yeah.
And he does a great job.
Mm-hmm. For what he's got.
For what he was working with. But it's Paul Orndorff, and like we said, we hadn't seen him in 3 years. So is that the guy that should be carrying a match for you?
Yeah, it's not like it was Brian Pillman or something. Where It's like, oh, he's gonna bump for everybody and fly around the ring.
And that's another thing. Like, I mean, this is just a booking decision type thing. But why wouldn't you put a younger upcoming guy with the dudes to get a little bit of a rub? I guess technically El Gigante is a younger guy that they're giving a rub.
He can't work. So
but once you realize that he can't work, why wouldn't?
This was just to put the Horsemen on the show, really. That's the only reason. And the thing is, like, we've got Junkyard and Paul Orndorff. So it's like, That was the only like true filler on the show where it's like, oh, if you're gonna skip one, that's the one to skip.
How about best performer of the night? Is it one of the Southern boys?
I mean,
I'm trying to look to see which one.
Yeah.
I remember that did the.
I don't think that anybody worked poorly except for that one match. Like I think that Z-Man. I think that Tom Zink was great in that squash match.
Yeah,
he was great in there.
I mean, he made me believe.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like he was for that 2-minute match. He did his job above and beyond with a smile.
I'll go Tracy Smothers because he's the one that did the crazy moves for the Southern boys.
Oh, okay. And yeah, he's the one where it's like, oh, I know that name. But I guess I'd give it to them. But there's nobody that I would be like, better luck next time, with the exception of
El Gigante.
Basically everybody in the 9th match. I kind of expected Sting.
Like I said, I thought Orndorff and Anderson did a good job.
Yeah, but
the other 4 guys like literally did nothing. And I feel bad for Windham. That Windham like literally looked bad in that match, but it was because every time he was in, he was basically in there with JYD.
You can't work with somebody that can't work.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, not everybody. They've got to at least have some kind of something going on for you to be able to.
It's a 2-way street.
Yeah, I think it's just because of '89 that I expect Sting matches to be, or not Sting, sorry, Flair matches to be long. That was the year of his long matches, and this one was like 16 minutes long, which is plenty long kind of at the time for pay-per-view matches for sure, and it's good.
Well, that was another thing that I thought was interesting because for the longest time NWA's been having basically the 7 matches on a show, but all of them are going like 12 to 18 minutes, and this time they went with 11 matches.
It was better for it,
and
even with the
longest matches, I want to say it was like,
I think it's the
15, 16 minutes.
16 minutes for the last match.
For the main event.
And it's like, if the undercard is this entertaining, then that's great.
Yeah, that's
because like all it did
undercard is
taking a few minutes away from like other tag matches only made them better. Like these guys with all 3 of these tag matches with 4 more minutes, 3-4 more minutes. If this had been a
7-match show, that 6-man tag would have gotten probably 20 minutes.
Or it wouldn't have happened.
It probably would have gotten 20 minutes.
I was gonna say I hope it didn't happen, but like that's the only really bad thing I can say about this show at all.
How about most surprising? I mean, it's obviously Vader.
Yeah,
Vader showing up.
I mean, Vader and
the Southern boys coming out of nowhere.
Yeah,
like,
that's not.
I was
like, oh, Southern Wild. I was like, and they're coming out with the Dixie flags, and I'm just like eye rolling them. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the match starts, and I was like,
what?
All right, okay. Like that's kind of the match of the show.
And now for a look back even further into the history of wrestling.
The dusty finish.
Ivan Koloff was but a transitional champion, as 3 weeks later, on February 8th, 1971, Pedro Morales would defeat him to become the 4th WWF champion. Pedro Morales, born October 22nd, 1942, on the island of Culebra, off the shore of Puerto Rico's main island. He would make his professional debut in 1959 on a card held in New York City. Morales would travel the world plying his trade, wrestling in many promotions including the NWA and AWA. But his biggest break would come in the WWF, winning the vacant United States Championship and then the WWF Championship a month later. He would hold the title for over 1,000 days, which remains the longest reign ever by a Latino. Pedro Morales would also become the first man in history to win the Triple Crown in the WWF, as he would win the Tag Team Championship and the Intercontinental Championship in 1980. Morales also still holds the record for most days combined as IC champion over his 2 reigns. After his retirement in 1987, Morales would become a commentator for the WWF's Spanish-language programming. He would also be inducted into the Professional Wrestling, WWF, and Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fames for his accomplishment.
How hard is it to say WWF?
It's pretty fucking tough.
There's had to been somebody in Mexico that's held a belt for 1,000 days.
Just talking about the WWF Championship.
Oh, okay. So like WWF, because WWF still counts, right?
Yeah.
It's the same reign. But yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But I was like,
I mean, I'm sure in like the WWC, the World Wrestling Council in Puerto Rico, a Latino has.
Yeah, I'm
CML
sure. Yeah, I'm sure that like
AAA,
Mil Mascaris had that belt his whole life.
Yeah. Next week, SummerSlam 1990.
I know. We need to whip out your Bret Hart shades, put on your swimsuit, and surf into the 90s with us.
Because the heat returns.
Mm-hmm.
The music from this week's show is the theme from the Great American Bash 1990 and Turbocharged.
Which one's what's Turbocharged?
That's Sting's theme music.
Is it?
Yeah.
How does it go?
You're hearing it right now.
That sounds pretty good.
Exactly, it does. You can always rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts at. Go out there and give us those 5 stars.
5 stars? Or no stars.
Or no stars.
Yeah.
Let everyone...
No, don't give us no stars. I don't know if you can.
I don't think you can. I think you have to at least give one.
Yeah.
But we prefer 5.
Mm-hmm.
Tell your friends, families, enemies.
Enemies.
Your
enemies.
blood feuds. You know, if you have any of those, just tell them about us.
Mm-hmm. Maybe there won't be a blood feud anymore.
Exactly. Build a bridge.
Yes.
You can always email us at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at WrestlingHistoX. That's Wrestling HISTOX. We'll talk to you next week.